Take a Ride podcast. I'm your host here, Starks. You can find me on my Twitter handle. It's at Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram, Fishers of Men 21. I'm not here alone this evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you may be in the fantasy world. I have the wingman running the three, LT the Sage. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good. We're about to get into some juicy fantasy basketball information, and me and Starks will both talk about how it is creeping up on the season. I wasn't even expecting it. I think the 19th is when it starts, so we really need to dive into some of these preseason games and let you guys know what to go with.
Yes, and I think I like how you do the zoom in effect, like we're on like ESPN or something. The cut scenes, that's dope. So if you guys haven't seen, we're on YouTube now. It looks like LT's back chopping it up and creating great content for YouTube. So not only we are on YouTube now a little bit more consistently, but obviously the podcast. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the podcast, please do so. And if you guys haven't joined as a member on newlifefantasy.com, please do. You're doing yourself a disservice. Newlifefantasy.com, not only do we do fantasy basketball, we do fantasy baseball, fantasy football. We share the faith of Jesus Christ on there. It helps our site to continue to grow. We're doing this for fun. And if you are a person that is interested to be a contributor as far as like writing, we aspire to help people to get on the bigger platforms. I guess you can kind of call us like, I want to say college, but it's like the G League of like the experts out here. And that's just being transparent. But I was going to say, we've have a couple of people from New Life Fantasy that we've seen blossom into bigger platforms that I can just go ahead and say that's affiliated with like NBC Sports, RotoWire, and I know I'm just name dropping a lot of big names here, ESPN, and we've been affiliated with some, so it's just humbling and honor that we've been able to work with certain avenues with people. But that's not what you guys want to hear. So what you want to hear is the content. So we'll get straight to it. This episode in particular, what we're going to talk about is, I didn't even know, LT, we're like close to the season. It's like literally October 19th. We're like less than a week and a half away. So in this episode in particular, we're going to talk about recent news. We know it's a dynasty formatted podcast, but we talk about a lot of recent news just because we give the dynasty outlook and redraft flavor. My style, just to give everybody a heads up, since there's some new people listening, my style is to win right now. That's the mentality. And LT kind of has a similar mentality of win now. I'll save that more of a clutch shot on the reason why. But let's go ahead and get into it. I'm ready to take people on for a ride. In today's day, we're going to talk about recent news. So me and LT will run the offense. We'll switch the balls back and forth. I'll start with the ball at the court, LT. First thing that I want to jump right into is just like the hype train is coming real here recently. And I just go ahead and just jump right into it. It's Bones Hyland, and I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong with Hyland or Hyland. I don't know if you know anything about him, LT, but he just exploded here. And the Denver Nuggets is the hype train. I like to call it the echo, per se, that goes around in the fantasy community and experts. This is a guy that came off the bench in the Nuggets game here yesterday. He dropped 21 points, 7 for 13 from the field. He took 12 snipe attempts. That's something I always look at. I'm sure LT be chomping at the bit looking at snipe attempts too. He made 6 of those, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. Now, he did have a high amount of 6 turnovers, but hey, doesn't matter. The Nuggets lost preseason, 114-112. But this guy, Bones, when I hear the name Bones, is his like name, I think of Bones Jones automatically from UFC, even though like if you're a UFC fan, Bones Jones, he just never can stay out of trouble. But longer story short, I will actually run the offense on him real quick or go ISO. Bones is a player that people are like, well, since the hype and the echoes around him, would you draft him in like a redraft format? Now, I will say this, in a dynasty format, you probably are chomping at the bit to get him. Now, would you potentially draft him later into the drafts this season in a redraft format? I would say the cop-out saying is it depends, but it's true. How deep is your format? Now, me and LT, we play in deep redraft formats quite often. He is a player that you're going to draft in the back end of your drafts. He potentially, Nuggets, they are a good team. We all know that. But we also know Jamal Murray's still out, right? they're going to need a punch off that bench. He could potentially start from time to time. I think Will Barton, and then we got Michael Porter Jr. that hasn't got the jab, I think, yet. And you still got like Aaron Gordon. I mean, we know about the Joker. And then you're going to say Camp Anawana, Campazzo. Like, I don't know. Well, yeah, we're full-fledged back, LT. Last thing I'll say before I pass you the ball, LT, is he is a player that I'm intrigued on. I am not going to jump extremely high in drafts. I don't know where to really peg him yet, where you would draft him in the selection. I would say easily after the 10th round. But some people, I can almost assume they're going to probably go in the 9th and 8th round. He could be potentially warranted for that. I'm just not ready to do that. LT, I'll pass you the ball. What's your thoughts on him and what you've seen?
Yeah, I didn't even know that he exploded like that last night. Now, as far as this particular player is concerned, yeah, just to give you guys an idea of how new and fresh this guy is on the scene, I click on his name in Yahoo Sports. Guess what? No stats available. They're not even stat tracking this guy yet on Yahoo. So we got to give the guys back on Yahoo some time to get him going. He don't even have a picture yet, so I don't even know what he looks like, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and move forward with what he has done. And 21 points, putting up those amount of shots is actually pretty insane. Now, only thing I would say about that is that he's going to have to, again, earn those minutes. Again, they still have some guys on there like Austin Rivers. This is preseason. Those type of players are going to get more run just to see what they have cooking in the tank. But I like to tell people all the time, basketball is a little bit different than football. The preseason does give you a better kind of idea of what the coach is thinking as far as players, rotations, and who's going to be available for you back in the drafts. So if you take a look here, Bones Highland, he looks good. No steals, no blocks, no peripherals. But if you're looking for points in points leagues, especially and in Dynasty, might be something to look at, especially if Jamal Murray is going to miss extended amount of time this season, in the first half of it. The only other thing I wanted to mention on the Nuggets, man, is that PJ Dozier started in this particular game. Again, I could have been just filling out some players a little bit more than others. But Austin Rivers did not start. So, again, it looks like maybe PJ Dozier is someone else as well you may want to be looking into if he gets extended run. You know what jumped out at me, Starks? Those 2 steals, two swipes in 23 minutes. If he's starting for that team going forward, he may be able to get you some back-end stats. I love those. I love those little swipes here and there. But yeah, that's all I can see here. Bones, I don't know. Bones Jones, we're gonna have to see what he does and see what more. I'll be watching him though moving forward. Good find, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. I just know, like I said, there's some very hyper competitive people that wanted us to dig deep on certain players. So I just wanted to jump into the deep end on him. I'll pass you the ball, LT, if there's something you want to talk about here next, and then we can just go back and forth up the court.
Absolutely. So what I'm going to actually jump on real quick, and I'm sure Starks is going to give you that dynasty flavor. He's really going to get into the weeds on some of these back end players for your dynasty drafts, because you're not pulling from that main. But redraft is something that I love to look at, and one of the teams that I like to look at teams, what they're showing us in the preseason, how they're moving. And one of the teams that I wanted to mention today is the Chicago Bulls, okay? So the Chicago Bulls right now with their new look team, DeMar DeRozan, Ball, of course, Levine, Vooch. This team looks exciting offensively, absolutely electric. They're passing the ball. They're doing like old school heat plays where LeBron's throwing passes cross court. Ball. They look like they're gelling very well together. The offense is flowing. And I think this is something you as a fantasy GM really need to key in on, because you want to look at these teams that are going to push the pace and they're going to be efficient in doing that. And the Bulls look like one of those teams. I know they have a lot of new pieces. I know it's the preseason. But again, basketball is a little different. We are seeing exactly what this team is looking to do. And they had 2 second straight blowout preseason wins, man. So they're not just beating teams; they're shellacking them. I think the Chicago Bulls, 121-85 on the poor Pelicans. Of course, the Pelicans didn't have Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. We get it, we understand. But again, keep an eye out on who starts on this front court and this back court. We have Javonte Green that started last night for them. But also we've seen a lot of run with Alex Caruso. I know, y'all know my backtrack with Caruso. I love me some AC. But listen, he was running with that main squad, and they looked really, really good with him at the helm. So, again, just keep an eye out on minutes. He played 21 minutes. Javonte Green only played 18. And Alex Caruso looks like that sixth man for this team. So in the end of games, when it's closer, Alex may be the guy out there. So just keep an eye out for that type of stuff, because this team is going to be running. We have Kobe White still back there, ready to go. I think he loses some value this year on the squad, but still, he's still back there and available. If you're looking at dynasty formats on the back end, he should still get some run-in minutes once he's healthy. But Starks, what are you thinking about this Chicago squad?
I think it sounded like you were about to go it sounded like you were about to say end game. So that was sweet. I agree with you on, there's some interesting, now this year in fantasy LT, it's going to be very different. And I think this is going to be one of the most important years to be digging into scraps and the barrels. You got to have your nose in the waiver wire, because a lot of moving parts that you're going to have to do on a fantasy team, just because of the type of season is kind of like last year, LT, the COVID, and there's already weird stuff going on. But I want to say something on Chicago real quick. There's going to be fantasy bust. I think collectively, most of all of us universally, even in the expert community, thought, even myself, I thought Kobe White Cheese was going to be a good player last year. He had some decent games, but he was more of a headache. This Alex Caruso, he's probably going to hold value this year. That's what's crazy, right? It's honest. He was looking good too. And Kobe White, even though he didn't play, I don't think he played this game like you were saying, but he loses value. It's a tough pill to swallow. So dynasty formats, I could just transition a little bit to dynasty. This is why it's important in our belief, okay, in redraft. Well, obviously in dynasty formats to try to win now. Because what if then, typically dynasty formats, you want to draft a player and you say you're trying to draft and build a team, for the future. You got this young team, you feel good because you keep the team in the dynasty format. 3 or 4 years, what if they're a bust, right? That's where it hurts. You build all this young team. Now, it's okay to build young players, but I think you need to mix it up with some solid players in their primes. If you just go all out building young, you're going to find more busts than lottery ticket wins. And a player that sticks out, I need to figure this out, in Orlando, what's his name? Mamba number 5. Now I think he had some spunk last year a little bit, but he's been ever since he was drafted, he's going to be good in the next couple of years. The next couple of years keeps coming. We've been saying, I've been hearing that for years, and he hasn't really solidified himself yet. But this is the situation of Kobe White. When he got drafted in the league, it was maybe he'll be a good player. And he should have been, but that doesn't mean that he can't still bounce back. He's still got some time. I'm not going to just throw in the towels, I'm going to quit on him. But right now, for this year, especially in redraft formats, I'm not even looking his way. But that's where I stay with Chicago. So I'll transition into I'm going to get some flack for it, but in this podcast, it doesn't even matter. There is something I heard in the fantasy community that I want to hear your opinion on this before I kind of go in, because maybe you might agree with this person, LT, and I'm not going to obviously say the thing, but this person, it was a redraft format. I as you know, I enjoy my MPJ. We all know that I'm an MPJ lover here. But also the draft, I think it was between if you're in the back end, and I think they were going, these two people were going, well, it was who would you rather have in the back end in your first round? So let's just say it was the 12th pick. Would you rather have Paul George at 12, or would you rather have Michael Porter Jr. at 12? I'll pass you the ball, LT, and I would just ask, who would you rather have there?
Is there a third option somewhere around there? No,
exactly.
No, is there a third? But no, I would probably get and I know your answer, And
you sure?
Yeah, I think so. I think I know your answer.
Okay.
But I think I would go with Paul George.
Okay.
But I think your answer is MPJ.
No, actually, see, that's what I thought you thought. No, it's going to be Paul George.
Okay.
So go ahead.
And just to say my reasoning real quick is because I think Paul George. I think with Kawhi,
yes,
that whole Kawhi situation, I think that Paul George holds the most value there. And MPJ, even though he's hot, he's coming in hot this year, I think. But I think that with Jokic, eventually Murray at the back end of the season, I think there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed. So I think that's going to be tougher on the long run. But in the short term, or overall in the season, I think Paul George, man, he still has the sauce, man. He's just not as crazy as he used to be, but he still got what it takes to be a first round pick for you.
Yeah. So I was a little like, of course, I enjoy Michael Porter Jr., but Paul George, you have to take, and then you're probably like, well, Starks. I mean, Jamal Murray's going to be out, so Michael Porter Jr.'s got to pick up some slack. Yeah, he got to pick up some slack. But even still, I look at the percentages also. What is sustainable for him? Is he going to continue shooting at a high clip, a 45% close at the 3-point snipe? Nah, I don't think so. Like, that's crazy. Like, for him to shoot that high, that's not realistic. That's like higher than Curry too. Like, I don't see that perhaps or really happening per game. So that percentage is going to come down. If you got to take the responsibility of taking more shots, then the likelihood of your production, if you're taking jump shots, your field goal percentage is going to take a decrease. So that's what I'm looking at. And then you're probably like, well, maybe he can get more defensive stats. It's a possibility. Now, I'm not going to just easily say that Michael Porter Jr. is not going to enter in like first round value, but that's what you're really banking on. In a redraft format, now Dynasty, I'll probably lean. That's when I would probably lean towards Michael Porter Jr. Redraft format, although Paul George is not the Paul George we're accustomed to, especially like for us, he's got to take the usage, right? We don't know Kawhi's when he's coming back. But I just thought it was interesting that someone would take, and this is like a well-known expert. I was just like, yeah. But I mean, to each his own. It doesn't mean that we're right. It doesn't necessarily mean that, because we could absolutely fall on our face on this. Because, I mean, injuries play a factor, right, too. But that's just something to think about. And then what? I don't think MPJs take the jab either, from my understanding. So that's just something to look at. I'll pass you the ball, LT, if there's something else you want to talk about, man.
No, yeah, that's definitely interesting. I think what in fantasy, especially in the idea of dynasty, there's a lot of times personal. I feel like in dynasty, there's more personal in that than let's say redraft, because you're only stuck with that person technically for a year, right? For one season. But when you start doing dynasty, you start wanting to invest in people you think may not be good now, may be good later, or they may be good now and they may, and then you worry about the later down the road through drafting and really digging into those young guys coming out of college and G League soon. But yeah, man, I don't know. MPJ is one of those players to me. He seems so volatile, but he is starting to get more consistent. And I think that his minutes, I think that his whole situation with the Nuggets is in a better place after last year's playoffs. So I think he's going to be a much easier pickup for even someone like me this year than, let's say, last year, where I was just like, I don't know if he's going to take that step, but that Jamal Murray injury really helped propel them needing him to step up. So I think that helps out a lot. So yeah, I mean, if you like MPJ, go ahead, but man, I don't know. I'm not a big MPJ guy. And me and Paul George go way, way back. So I would trust him a little bit. But as somebody that I wanted to touch up on, Starks, and you're probably going to roll your eyes. I know you are. But it's My Hero Academia. So Tyler Herro, and one of my things here with when in New Life is I love to look at clippings, man. I love to look at clippings. Love to look at the little newspaper things that some of these players go in. Tyler Herro has been on paper stating that this year he's going to make people believers. Okay, he's going to make people believers. He said that he's and last year he was hurt. I think a lot of people kind of wrote him off after how hurt he was, how injury prone he was, and the Heat really got shellacked. So I think they were expecting a lot more from Hero Academia last year, but I think this year he's going to answer some of that. Now, if you guys have been paying attention. The last 2 games in preseason, 2 games. This is just 2, that's all they've played. First game on Monday, he shot 9 of 12 shots, hit 9 of 12, 3 3-pointers for 26 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. In Monday's preseason win over the Hawks. I want to let you know, I've been watching some of these preseason games, and some of these first 2 quarters are like real basketball. Okay, they're not joking around playing out these side characters, etc. Now some of the main cogs aren't in there. I know Trick or Trey, a couple others, but I mean they're playing. And then the next game on Friday, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, and 4 3-pointers in 25 minutes. So it looks like the main thing I wanted to add to this for Tyler Herro is that he's averaging right now in the preseason. This is before games get real serious. Usually they chisel out at the end of the games, somewhere in that 20-minute range. If he can stay there consistently this year, I think he's a great grab because a lot of people are going to write him off. He's going to be – I don't even know where he's going in Yahoo. I'm going to look that up, Starks, here. He's 124 right now. 124, 124 right now on Yahoo rankings. We usually use Yahoo just because that's where we have our leagues at. But 124, man, he's gonna be forgotten about in your league when you're going in. I say take him, in that back end of the first 10 rounds, in that back end of the first 10 rounds without hesitation. I think if he has the mentality. That Heat team, one of the things about that Heat team is scoring, right? We know Duncan Robinson's going to put in those points, but a lot of those players are very defensive minded. You got Bam Bam Bigelow, my guy Adebayo, of course, Butler. But again, they're very defensive minded there and they need offense. One of the reasons why they were so good a couple years ago is because of Tyler Herro coming on offensively. And so you have to think that they're going to be looking to him to score and be that instant scoring punch either off the bench or starting. It doesn't matter. He's going to play. If he can play around that 25, 24-minute area, he's going to beat that current ADP for sure. So that's another guy I saw that I really was looking into, seeing his demeanor. I'm liking it. What are you thinking, Starks?
No, I mean, I still like him. I just thought it was funny you brought him up at a time like this. I'm gonna. It's funny. It seems like we don't typically agree on everything, but I actually agree with you on Tyler Herro this year. 124 in Yahoo. I would get him in at the 10th round if he's available there. So you're going to cut a coupon with him, especially if you're reading a clipping that he's trying to prove himself. Now, typically the 3rd-year players, they, from my understanding and back research, they do good on the 3rd year from a rookie. So. Yeah, this could be the opening because, Dippo, we never know when he's coming back, right? Kyle Lowry is a little bit older. Jimmy Butler's older. Duncan Robinson, he's the sniper. Come on, PJ Tucker.
Tucker.
Yeah, right, Project Pat. So it doesn't even matter, your boy, our boy Bam Bam Bigelow, your boy. They're slow key. I think they're going to be a pretty good team, though. Miami, this is I think they're going to be, if Dippo could get a little bit healthier, but I think Herro, I hope he does prove, and see, even if he starts, or he's most likely going to come off a reserve role, but I think that's fine. Yeah. He could be, and I'm not saying this, this is with a grain of salt. We could talk about the OKC days with James Harden. I'm not saying he's no James Harden. I'm not saying that, but he could be a solid player from the 6-man role that if he stays in the 6-man role, he could be potentially 6-man of the year type, player. And he can definitely do that in Miami. And Miami, I think, is going to be a solid team this year. I really, truly believe that. You got the experience from Kyle Lowry winning the championship. Jimmy Butler, we know about his swag, Bam Bam Bigelow. They were in the championship a couple years ago. That doesn't mean they're going to go there again. But I think just a lot of teams or a lot of people and the analysts and ESPN analysts are just going to overlook this team because they're just going to always say, the Nets, the Lakers, but like, the Bucks won last year, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just like they're going to keep talking about those teams. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. You brought him up.
Lemon Pepper. He reminds me of a young Lemon Pepper Lou, man. Lemon Pepper Lou in this kind of role, coming off instant offense, going to be smoking up those reserve players. So yeah, just keep an eye, especially in points leagues. Gee, Jiminy Christmas, yeah.
Yeah. So I'll transit. So me and LT was talking about this guy a little bit earlier before we got on, and it's Russell Westbrook. Like, now we're just going to talk about this top tier Lakers team. Let's just talk about the Lakers real quick. The I don't know about. I'm gonna be honest with you, LT. I don't know if I'm going to touch anybody. Oh my goodness! Can you take a pause? Hold on. Apologies, guys, for the mishap there. I got distracted. Someone was knocking at the door. Lakers. I'll be honest, LT. I don't know if I want to touch anybody on this team. Well, I ain't gonna say that. Let me take that back. I almost feel like I will not be able to draft any of these players at the right spot. Let's just see if you can check for me, like where I can check actually. Where is Russell Westbrook going in Yahoo formats? He's going 19. I don't even know if I want to draft him in the beginning of the second round or I guess that would be the end. The end of the second round. I would feel gross to do that, like that back-to-back second, third. I don't think I can do it. Like a points league, I'm all for it. You gonna say something else here, or are you just laughing?
No, I'm gonna let you finish, man. I'm gonna let you finish.
I just in a points league, I'm all for that spot. Cool, awesome, amazing. Redraft. Well, Dynasty, I'm not touching him in Dynasty. Well, yeah, I won't touch him in the Dynasty format. I would have to get him in like the 5th, 6th round. That I know that's just criminally bad, but that's just honest. And that's for a win now team. Redraft formats. Yeah, it's a Randy Jackson no for me, dog. At the second, early third round, I can't do it. Listen, he dominates the ball, and so does LeBron. And that's what's going to be very hard. I mean, they're going to make it work. We know they're going to figure it out. I'm sure Russ wants a champ. I've always hoped – so me and LT, we have this heart for certain players to win a championship like Lillard. Russell Westbrook is one. James Harden, I used to say I want him to win a championship. I don't know. He just acts weird now. I don't know. But that's just, that's personal opinion. But as far as the Lakers, let me get back on the fantasy content because I'm going super ice all over the place. Russell Westbrook, where he's going, I will pass on him. I would rather get him in the late third, early fourth. I know that's not going to happen. It's just not in a redraft. It's not. So that's a pass. Now, Anthony Davis, he's actually going in a decent spot. He's going like closer to the back end of the first round. He burnt so many people last year. And this seems to be an okay spot, honestly. He's the only player that could be justified because he could still potentially be a top 3 player, but we know that comes with health concerns. He's playing potentially the center spot now. But then I also think about Russell Westbrook. He takes rebounds from big men. So there's a lot of things to really take in consideration. But I mean, okay, so let me backtrack a little bit. Anthony Davis, I might be intrigued to maybe get him if he's there at the 12th spot, but I'm sure he's not. If you got him in the 8th or 9th, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I almost feel like I probably wouldn't be that person. If he is at the 11th, 12th, I would probably do it. Now, LeBron James, I've never had him in fantasy in this 12 years of playing fantasy. I think it's been 12 or 13 years we've been playing together, LT.
Yes.
And he's going 30. He's going 30 in the rankings, I believe. Yes. That's actually not a bad spot. If I'm punting and if I had Giannis, Ben Simmons type, this would be the build that I'm okay with that. So I guess I'm backtracking to what I said now that I'm seeing these value on Yahoo. But it just always feels like I'm never going to get any of these players because it always seems like something else is going to pop up. But I'll pass you the ball, man, because I could just go on a tangent on the Lakers for a long time. I was just talking about the top stars there. What says you, man?
Very interesting take from you, Starks. That's very interesting. I'm gonna be honest. There is a couple of players I wouldn't mind picking up on the Lakers because at the end of the day, the Lakers are the Lakers, and somebody has to score on that team. And the fact that Anthony Davis is still going ahead of some of these other guys, I not saying that he shouldn't go 12 just because of his potential. He's going to be playing center this year or this season primarily. Trevor Ariza has already been deemed had an ankle injury. I don't know if that's new news or not, but he has an ankle injury, so he's going to be out for an extended amount of time. He's getting surgery, so he's not going to be available. So that means that Anthony Davis is probably going to get just a teeny bit more run for that big man spot. But I'm going to be completely honest with you, Starks. I'm going to be completely straightforward with you. I will definitely pick up Westbrook this year. I would definitely draft him this year because this is the season. This is it. This is his top, other than when he was playing with KD, right? This is the opportunity. This is the time to shine. This is your one shining moment when you have assembled the Avengers, right? You have to defeat Thanos. This is it. This is the moment, and he has to put up or shut up. He did play terrible in this last preseason game. Again, it's preseason. Okay, he's learning on a new team. People are already going in on him. It's like, come on now. He's his first game. Anyways, and it's like he has to produce. And so we know he's a stat stuffer. Now, this is purely fantasy, and we know he's going to give you those three main stats, whether LeBron's there, whether AD's on this team, whether Dwight Howard decides to go back to old school Magic Howard. It doesn't matter. He's going to get 9 to 10 rebounds a game because that's just what Westbrook does. And so we know he's going to give you those points, those rebounds, and those assists. And we know that on this particular team, there's going to be a lot of passing going on. So his assists may dip. Who knows? Russell Westbrook's efficiency may go up because of them both playing on the same team with each other. But the only thing I know is that whenever somebody plays with LeBron, they usually have their efficiency and their ease of scoring usually goes up a couple. So that's what I'm expecting from Westbrook. Now, the only thing I'm worried about, and I haven't been able to see enough cases yet, Starks, if Westbrook decides to try thinking he's Kyle Lowry, he starts thinking that he because LeBron and AD are out there, pushing the rock inside, that he's going to sit back. He's going to have all these open threes. He's going to start trying to chuck the ball from 3-point land a lot. And that's the only worry I have, is because he's going to get open shots. That is the shot they're going to give this Laker team. And in fantasy, you don't want Westbrook taking 3-pointers all day long. You want him in the paint, causing havoc, and getting to the free throw line and doing all those things that, all of those counting stats that you love to see. So I would definitely pick him up this year. I'm very wary of AD being in the center role and getting beat up down low all the time, every game, because he was playing his back. He was playing away from the basket a lot, and he was still getting hurt. Okay, so I'm a little worried about him down low playing center. We'll see. But yeah, I'm with you on LeBron. Of course, Melo on the back end if you're looking for points. There's a couple other guys back here. I'm in deep formats. Rajon Rondo may get some run. He may play primary point guard sometimes if they need a pure point guard on the court. Kendrick Nunn is another guy who's coming in. Malik Monk's been scoring very well for them as well in the preseason. So these are all guys in those deep formats that you may want to pick up, because we know that LeBron, Melo, Westbrook, Anthony Davis, Dwight Howard, DeAndre Jordan, these guys are all going to take breaks. They're going to take rest days. And so Talen Horton-Tucker is a great pickup as well. Malik Monk, Nunn, and Tucker. I wouldn't mind investing in those players on the back end of your drafts, just because of the amount of off days I'm sure these Lakers are going to have up into the playoffs.
Interesting. So you on the Russ bandwagon this year, yeah?
If he was available at a good spot, like you said, third, fourth, I would pick him up. I would pick him up in second round. Second round as a second player if I was able to get a very good or solid point guard. So let's say if I get Lillard, hopefully, things crossed. Let's say if I get Lillard, right? And then on my way back from that pick, Russell's available, I would pick him up in a heartbeat. Just because I think this year he's going to play just as well as he did last year. And I think that they're going to keep his I just think he's going to be more efficient because of LeBron. Like, Beal's great. I'm not saying Beal's not a good player, a playmaker, but LeBron's one of the best players to ever play the game. So playing with that type of caliber player, Russell Westbrook's going to get easier looks, easier baskets. He's going to be able to freely do a little bit more on offense. He's going to be able to do more cuts. He's going to be able to all of that stuff because LeBron's also a facilitator. So
You know what you had me thinking about something when you said Lillard, man. I think that we should try to take a vote in our league. I think this is warranted fair. This is gonna probably change the fantasy community. People in the fantasy community might even get mad for me to say this. Yeah, thank you for the close up. This is going to be a juicy one. You're in a family like competitive league with the people you're accustomed to, redraft leagues. I'm starting to think a little different, and it just hit me when he said Lillard. LT, what is your thoughts? And for those that are listening to the podcast, this might turn you off. Like I said, we love you. I love you anyway. What do you think of this, LT? Let's base off our draft picks the following year, meaning maybe this year, right? We could put the vote in for the league. What about the winner and then everybody in the that made the playoffs, they get the top picks? So like for you won the championship. You should have first pick. I came in second. Maybe I should get the second pick. And then that would be like Lewis third, the kid fourth, and then everybody. And then that should want you to motivate you because if you did trash at the end, typically the back end people get the first picks. You would think hypothetically that's how they do. And like your bad records in the NBA, you get the higher lottery ball pick. What about maybe if you don't play in like salary cap leagues? Now that if you're in a salary cap league, then I think you should honor like similarities to the NBA. But what about just redraft leagues, people that actually win a championship? That's my thoughts. I think maybe let's transition to for redrafters. They earn the title. Let them even maybe choose a spot. How about that? They get to choose where they want to pick at because they won the prior year. What says you, LT?
You really want Harden this year, don't you? That's all I got to say. No, that sounds cool. It's basically we tried that actually already. It's called keeper leagues, and we had keeper leagues. So the issue with keeper leagues is funny. The issue with keeper leagues is that you keep one guy, and then the next season somebody is just like switching their keeper up, and so I like what you're going with because I won last year, so I would definitely would love a first round pick, but I actually wouldn't because it would be very hard for me to like. The good thing about Lillard is a lot of times when I pick, Curry's already gone, so it's very easy for me to pick Lillard because Curry. There's somebody in our league that really loves Curry, so Curry's usually gone, or someone's trying to spite him and take Curry from him. So I got Lillard to myself usually. But if Curry and Lillard, those two people were looking me dead in the face, it would be hard for me to make that Lillard decision, even though he's, I'm a Lillard guy. But because Curry's going to explode this year. I feel like he's going to have one of those years and one of those seasons that are going to be for the record books on fantasy wise. And not saying Lillard can't do the same thing, but I think Curry's going to have one of those years. So if this year's going to be one of the toughest years for me to go Dame Dollar, for me to go Lillard, because I think, and this is just off the cusp for redrafts, dynasty, whatever. I think the next 2 to 3 years, Curry cements himself as one of the best shooters to ever play the game. Just think it's going to occur, and I'm very scared for the league here for Curry. So if you got a chance and you got the first couple of picks, I'm probably taking Curry over Harden this year. That's just me personally.
Yeah. So what if I told you I don't even know if I would take Harden like even if I had second pick, I may not. It just I still kind of feel a little shaky on it. But let's go ahead and transition. Yeah, but like you said, that's what a keeper league is. But I was just saying maybe if people did redrafts, they wanted to have their spot.
It would be 6. 6 would be in favor, and 6 would not be in favor.
You think it'll be split?
Yeah, it'll be the top 6 would be like, yeah, sure, it sounds good to me, and the bottom 6 would be like, nope.
So let's go ahead and just talk about there was someone I was going to talk about, Jaylen Brown, and then we could talk about the Poole chart and start closing up here. Jaylen Brown, I think what does he have? I think he might have got hit with COVID, but he did really good last year. I didn't expect him to do as well as he did, and I think he's getting drafted at a solid spot. I think maybe in the 30s or 40s. And he in the preseason he's been doing good. I don't know how to really project him. I just don't. I don't know why. But I guess my question to you is, LT, where do you think a fair spot would be to draft Jaylen Brown in the redraft format?
Where he's at. I think he's perfect where he's at. I think you potentially could be cutting coupons where he's at too, depending on how that team goes. I feel like the Celtics are one of those squads where I'm like, I don't know what to do with them. I don't know what to take them as. I don't know if they're really a competitor in that east area anymore. Yeah. But they, you got Schroeder now, and you got Marcus. Oh, by the way, Marcus Smart, pick him up. He's a huge coupon this year. Sage eyes. I'm telling you right now, Marcus Smart, pick him up ASAP. Anyways. Marcus Smart running the either the shooting guard or point guard positions there. They still got Al Horford, Robert Williams at the center. That team's just a mess. And so the two people that are going to continue to be constants is Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So Jaylen Brown at 35, I would swoop him up. He has 3. It looks like he might have some multiple eligibilities too. Shooting guard, small forward. If you're looking for a guard or small forward, you can't lose out with Jaylen. And even with this COVID hit, it was done early enough where he should be back for the beginning of the season. So we should be okay.
Okay. That's fair. I think that's fair. Actually, I'll give Jordan Poole to you, but hold on. I wanted to talk about a guy that I'm going to take a risk on that I didn't want to forget. My original guy, the unicorn, Kristaps Porzingis, man. I know he's always an injury headache. I get it. I definitely get it. You just don't want to deal with it. But looking at where he's going in Yahoo at 47 in the redraft format, I'll be honest with you, like, you're going to cut a coupon. I'm taking him in the 3rd round and not thinking about it. Now, does it come with risk? Absolutely does. I mean, what he's doing I'm going there. The reason why I say that is, preseason is preseason. I get it. But in 19 minutes in this preseason action, 15 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 3 blocks, and a triple in 19 minutes. Now, Jason Kidd is saying all the right things. He wants to get him more involved in the offense. And, we know that it's the Luka Doncic show there. We get it. But they need Porzingis to really come. Like, for real, they got him. And it seems like he kind of disappears at times. We know the durability is an issue, but that's a risk I'm taking. And this is, it's just a gut feeling. And it's just like, this is the year that I'm going to aggressively get him in the 3rd round. Hopefully, like in the mid-3rd round, he might not be there. But if he is there, I'm all for it. And if you want to get a little bit more friskier, if you're in an early 3rd round, you can make the face. I'm still going to probably pick him up. He's got that center eligibility. That's what I think about, because the type of big man that I like big men that take snipes and also block, right? That's why I've been a proponent of like Miles Turner over the years. And I know people were giving me flack like, oh man, I remember I was not hearing the end of it. Like, oh, Miles Turner's a scrub. He's not good, blah, blah, blah. Miles Turner was exploding last year. He was having a career year until he got hurt. Now, they're obviously 2 different players, but those are the type of big men that I aim for. In this podcast, I share more of like how I think versus trying to be so competitive and not share everything. But that's just like the type of players I like for big men. Bam Adebayo. Like, I like him, but if he took more snipes, I would be more drawn to him. But he just doesn't take snipes. And that's okay because Bam Adebayo is still good. But yeah, I'm taking a risk on Porzingis. Dynasty formats, still taking a risk on him. You know, you got to go almost second round for him in a dynasty format because he's still young, and that's understandable. Could he fall off a cliff? I don't think him falling off the cliff is going to. The only way he can fall off a cliff is obviously injuries, right? But I don't think he's a player that is just going to just suck, like out of nowhere. And we see players that just regress so bad in transitioning and aging. But I think for him, he could be a solid guy. And I know he burned a lot of people last year, especially when it came to fantasy playoffs. But what I've learned is sometimes you can't hold all this value on a player burning you. Like, you know, just like LT talked about Hero Academia. He was burning me last year. But I'm forgiving to put away my feelings and see, like, this is the third year. LT brought up a good point of what he's doing, and he's trying to prove himself. Yeah, you better prove yourself. And I think he will be doing good. But I also think, like, he's not a defensive juggernaut. He's not like Hero Academia is not like a defensive guy. He's not going to get you those extra counting stats. He's not going to get you to steal. So where is his value perceived at? Obviously snipes and supposedly snipes, but he doesn't take a lot is what we think. It's like a hidden trick. He's supposed to be like a snipe artist. He really kind of isn't. He snipes, but not like at a high clip as what we think. You know, they gave them comparisons of Klay Thomas. Nah, he doesn't really do it like that. Could he potentially down the future? Yes. He gets weird stats. Hero gets rebounds. Ain't that strange? And he's supposed to be a shooter, and he's supposed to facilitate. So that's just things to look at. I just went on a tangent there. I know Porzingis burned you. So what's your thoughts on the unicorn, man?
Wow. Porzingis in did you say the third round?
Oh, I'm taking him in the third round.
Yeah. Third round. Wow. Okay. So I guess my only issue with the third round pickup for Porzingis is that for me, I really like to, for the first 4 to 5 players, you want to expect or hope that those first 4 to 5 players are going to be with you the whole season. You know, like you really want to believe it in your heart of hearts and souls of souls. Now, if Porzingis drops to that 4th to 5th area and he hasn't been picked up yet, obviously you want to grab him. But my issue with Porzingis is that I don't know if he's going to be consistent enough for you on a week to on a whole season average to contribute that much at a third round level. Now, again, that could change this year, and this could be the year he breaks out. And if you took a grab at him and got him, awesome. Good luck to you. Thumbs up. I'm giving you the sage seal of approval, but I'm not touching him at the third round, man. There's just too many other players that are just a little bit more what's the word I'm looking for?
Safer?
Reliable. Yeah, reliable. Okay. And not even safer, because I don't mind taking a like a player like in the third round, you can get your boy, right? I think your boy may be available. Wood. I would rather have Christian Wood in that spot in the third round than Porzingis. That's just me personally. But that's again neither here nor there. But I would rather take Wood than Porzingis. So that's kind of where I'm at. And again, you know, you're cutting coupons on him from last year on the Yahoo rankings due to his injuries and everything else. But he is a fourth, you know, he is a third or fourth round talent. But is he going to be available for you to provide that talent to you on a per game, per season basis? That's the kind of dice roll you're going. Starks believes in him this year, and I'm looking the other way, man. I can't even look at him anymore with a straight face. So.
You're fine. I'll just go ahead and say it. I think reliable. That's a strong word. I think this year nobody's reliable. But I see what you're saying. It makes sense. I think he's going to be a top 25 player this year, inside top 25. Yeah. It's a risk. It's massive risk. He just has to play. That's the only issue with him. He just has to play. And I think he's inside top 25. And to me, that's still cutting a coupon. Yeah, is it aggressive? Yeah, absolutely. Like when it comes to aggressiveness, I'm just a proponent of going all in. All my chips are in on them. And could it fall flat on my face? Absolutely, absolutely. So I am pretty much done. I will pass you the ball on your boy Jordan Poole. What says you about him? What do you draft him, or what's your thoughts on him, man?
Ooh, the Poole Shark. So the Poole Shark has been running the Thomas, as Stark said. I'm just kidding, man. I'm just messing with you, Starks. Klay Thompson role right now, and he has been doing pretty well in that role. Scored 20 yesterday, 28 points, 10 of 19 shooting. That's right. He shot the ball 19 times. And trust me, he's had this in him since last year. He's got a little bit more experience, a little bit more time in the system, a little bit more faith from his teammates and his belt, I think, going forward. But I'll touch on that in a second. With 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, yes, baby, yes, and 1 turnover as the Warriors defeated the Lakers, blah, blah, blah. Who cares about that? He's averaging right now 25 points per game on 52% shooting from the floor and 43.7% shooting from there. And Klay, guess what? Klay won't be back until at least January, February area. And I tell you what, they will hold him off even longer if Poole is putting on a show. They will hold him out and make sure he is completely and fully healthy. So that I feel like January is like one of those, maybe he'll be back by then, but on a full scale level, I think they're going to hold him out as long as possible. Jordan Poole could be one of those back end players you pick up in both dynasty leagues and in redraft leagues to really propel you in those counting stats of points, and not counting stats, I'm sorry, just points, 3-pointers. He's pretty good from the free throw line from when I had him last year. He is exciting and he can explode on any night. So definitely pick him up. He's playing that Klay role. He's doing a pretty good job of it. 6 of 13 threes is absolutely mind-boggling. And again, he is right now in Yahoo rankings at 153. 153. That is bottom of the barrel, basement level area. Pick him up, please. Do not lose out to other people on our podcast listening. You got to get him for that first half of the season. Is going to really propel you. And then by that time, you probably have another person. He's still going to produce. I think even when Klay comes back is what I'm trying to say. He's still going to produce. So that's what my thoughts starts. What are your thoughts?
Poole Shark. I think he's too inconsistent for me. I don't know if it is something that's sustainable. But I mean, Golden State, they're going to need to punch off the bench, or even if he starts. I mean, he's a player. I mean, you still roster him, right? I mean, he's a back end player that you still roster. But I think it's just the inconsistencies with him that I foresee. Now he's doing well right now in the preseason, but again, it's just preseason. Everything in the preseason, just to let everybody know, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Not all the time, though. There are certain players, like in his case, you probably can take a little bit of consideration. He's got more playing time last year, so it kind of helps out. And he can probably potentially be consistent. I don't think so yet. But no, that's all I have. We can start getting into the clutch shots unless you have something else you want to bring up before we get into the clutch shots.
James Wiseman, what's your thoughts?
You said what?
James Wiseman.
Oh, James Wiseman. What about him?
Yeah, what's your thoughts, man?
This is the guy that I was wrong on. I brought him up last year. I thought maybe he could be a close to a top 100 player, rookie. I think he's still injured right now, yeah?
Yeah, he's still injured.
Dynasty format. So dynasty formats, I'm going to try to buy him from someone and try to trade because, this is like the lowest of the low for him right now. And potentially, and I'll be honest with you, you can get him cheap in dynasty formats, redraft formats. You don't really need to have him on your radar unless you're in a very deep league. Then I'm going to draft him if you're in a 10-man, 12-man, smaller, the normal redraft league. He's probably going to go undrafted in some leagues. What's his ranking on Yahoo?
It's lower than Poole's. He's at 142.
Okay, so he's probably going to be in the waiver wire. If he is in the waiver wire, then I would in your smaller redraft format. Then I would say keep him on your watch list. Or if you have, I'm sure like everybody should know this by now. If you don't know, now you know. The injury, the IR spots, IL spots, whatever league you play in, I think now you got to have at least 4. Like, I'm not kidding, like 4 or 5 because of COVID, and obviously injuries. So I would be a proponent of drafting him at the end because he has an injury, and hopefully you can insert him right into the starting lineup when he's ready to go. And even if they are ready to go with him, he's not going to all of a sudden get all the minutes he can eat, But I think that he still has a chance to be a solid player just because of Draymond Green. He was like a low key, like getting on his case and stuff, and he talked good stuff about him. They still believe in the potential that he has, and they're talking about now. I'm getting like go. I'm going to have to Sharon Dunne LT on this a little bit. So I have a clipping that they're trying to. So Jokic's coach have similar success. Can Jokic's like coach have similar success with him? Like trying to work with Wiseman, transforming him in the Warriors. So that's not. I mean, that says something, right? So that's just something to really take in consideration because they're still really working with him. So he is a player that is still developing, and I think he could still be a potential. Wouldn't say a breakout player this year, but maybe even potentially next year. But I would say still, if you're in a deep format, I think he needs to be back on the back end, like almost your last picks.
Perfect, man. That's all I got, man.
All right. So we'll go ahead and get into the clutch shots. I will pass you the ball, LTD. You have a clutch shot here today.
I do. I want to go ahead and let everyone know that there is teams sometimes that are just awful. Absolutely the worst teams ever. I think last year was the Thunder. I think it might still be the Thunder. But as far as those teams, those teams, you want to pick them up and you want to look at what's available. Because those teams have to score, right? Most teams score an average of 100 points a game. And so you still need players from there. You still got to know. So you got to know who to pick. And one of those teams this year is going to be the Washington Wizards. That's right. They're going to be one of those teams that are going to be just one of the bottom of the basement. Back, you're going to be forgetting about them. Lock the key, close the door. You got one notable, which is Bradley Beal. Exactly. Bradley Beal. One notable is Bradley Beal. But I wanted to go over just 2 players that I think on this team that are going to be somebody you want to definitely look out for. Spencer Dinwiddie, or Dinwiddle, as I like to call him. Spencer Dinwiddle is one of those players that he is a scoring maniac. He's going to jump right in and take on some of that offensive pressure off of Beal that Westbrook's going to leave as well from, kind of getting going to the Lakers. So definitely check out Spencer Dinwiddie. Sorry, my guy. And then the other guy that you think I'm going to go ahead and talk about Kyle Kuzma, right, Starks? You probably think I'm going to talk about Kuzma. I'm not going to talk about Kuzma, okay? Kuzma's going to Kuz, okay? All right, Kuzma's going to Kuz. You might want to still pick him up in the back end. He's probably still going to hold some value because he's going to get minutes. They have no choice. The other guy is Orochimaru, right? Orochimaru. He's out there as well. Rui Hachimura is what I'm talking about. But the other guy I want to talk about is Daniel Gafford. I want you guys to keep an eye out on Daniel Gafford this year. Thomas Bryant, I believe, is still hurt. I believe he's not. I believe he's still out. I don't know his timetable on when he's going to return. It was a pretty bad injury, so I don't know if he's going to be back, anytime in the beginning of the year. Daniel Gafford is the starting center right now with Montrezl Harrell probably coming off the bench. But Daniel Gafford, if you're on the back end of your drafts and you're looking for a cheap big man that's going to be out there scrambling and putting in the utmost effort and energy, it's going to be Daniel Gafford. Now, he's going to provide you some issues with free throws, but he did a really good job at the end of last year, especially in the postseason, putting in points. He averaged 2 blocks in the postseason, 11, almost 12 points, and 1 steal a game in that postseason stretch where he played a lot more due to the Wizards having to in the playoffs. So again, You want to look out for him. If you're looking for a cheap big, and Starks knows that I'm always looking for cheap bigs at the back of the draft. Daniel Gafford is someone you want to keep your eyes on. But other than that, Starks, that was my last shot.
Some good clutch shot. And I think it's perfect time because my computer's freezing up here.
Perfect.
I think the clutch shot that I want to take here is it only made sense to bring him up because I know we're getting close to drafts and people are drafting. And it's kind of like a clutch shot with a question for both of us. We know about the Kyrie Irving. We talked about him. And I want to say this real quick before I go to Kyrie Irving because I'm backpedaling. I actually want LaMelo Ball this year, but I don't know if I want to pay that price. I'm starting to backtrack. I was talking about not paying the price. There could be a chance to not pay that price. I know it's like second round.
Easily.
You said, yeah, I was just like, yo, I don't know, but he's looking too good for me not to like. But anyways, but Kyrie Irving, man, this we have to try to help the community here, man. Like, do you stay away from Kyrie, like with this not taking, the jab. And now it says the reports he was able to come to practice, but just because you're able to come to practice doesn't mean you're gonna be able to play those games, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough. So there's rumors circulating in the recent weeks that Nets and Sixers were considering a swap for Ben Simmons for Irving. The deal is unlikely, however, that's what they're saying. I don't know. So this is my question, because there's some weird let me not say that, not weird. They're in a very strange situation. The personalities, let me just say that. The personalities of KD, all the personalities of the top three guys there. How are they coping with this Kyrie situation? Like, how is KD really drinking this in with Kyrie? They're supposed to be like some tight buds. Well, like, what is KD really thinking about this situation? And Harden. But anyways, do we draft? I'll just start here. Do you draft Kyrie Irving? Would you draft him, LT? And I want to ask you that first.
Would you draft Kyrie? That's the question, because I already know my answer. My answer is no. I wouldn't touch him. Now, the way that the rules work is that he can't play home games, to my knowledge. So if you think about it, if he decides not to get the jab, he's playing 50% of your games. Okay. So just based off of that, he needs to go in the 6th to 7th round, because he's only going to be playing half of the games right now. Now so that's not going to happen. Someone's going to pick him up before the 6th round, 7th round, because people. And then auto draft. If you have an auto draft there, auto draft doesn't know Kyrie's doesn't take the jab. So someone's going to auto draft him, right? So he's going to get auto drafted by somebody on your squad, on your team, if they're not there for draft day. But Kyrie is such a volatile fantasy player. You cannot trust him. You cannot believe in him. He will do good for you when you don't need him to. He will miss games when you need him to be there and play. Those close matches. This is how I feel about Kyrie. Those close matches where you all you need is somebody to show up to work, right? You just need someone to show up to the facility and drop 10 points on 3 out of 4 games of that week, and Kyrie will show up 0 of those games. 0 of those games he will not show up, and then the next week you're busting your opponent up. You're feeling good. You look down. Kyrie has 150 points. Just scored 50 points 3 straight weeks. You didn't even need him that week. You didn't even need him. You didn't even want him or need him. But he shows up then. He's just so volatile, and this doesn't help because now this is before the jab. Now he might not even show up for half of the games he's supposed to, and and then on top of that, will he perform in the other games? Because rhythm is a big part of the game. And so for him to be breaking out of rhythm, having to kind of jump back and forth between teammates, how that's going to work in the playoffs, this is such a he has to get the jab. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where I feel like eventually he's going to have to get it, or the Nets are going to trade him, and I think that's what's going to happen. And so if that sounds like a good trade to me. I'll take that every day of the week. I don't know why the Sixers would want to do that, but if I was the Nets, I would take Ben Simmons over Kyrie, because at least Ben Simmons is going to show up to the facility and play hard. That's all I got on that.
Hey, you go ahead and put a close up on me, man.
All right, here we go.
All right, so hey, I will draft him. I will draft Kyrie in my league. Now, like LT said, the fair spot is like the 6th, maybe 5th, but we know it's not going to happen. We know it's just not going to happen in your league. Now, then you're going to like, well, where'd you draft him at? Not the first round, not the second round. In the beginning of the third round, I would just take the risk. No risk it, no biscuit. I would do it. And the reason why, it's just a gut feeling. And then you're like, oh, well, I want analysis. Like, you got to get out of the gut. I get you. But this is what I believe. I really believe that Kyrie is weird decisions or how he operates. I still think he'll find a way to get on the court. He's going to be a headache. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. This is a player that always typically gets drafted, the back end first round, early second round. I would pay like this. So I guess the question would be, would you rather take Devin Booker or Kyrie Irving? I would take Booker. Like that's clear, right? I know it's probably like, yo, don't get crazy out here, Starks. Like, I would take Booker. Like, I ain't gonna get that crazy, right? I know LT's like, yo, you Stark, you get.
I was like, where are you going with this, man?
Where you going with this? Like, Stark, you really getting out of hand. Oh, no about you anymore, bro.
You was scaring me for a second, man. I was like, Devin, you said Devin Booker. I was like, hold up, wait a second.
Now, let me say this real quick to kind of transition real quick. There was a question like Booker or Jason Tatum last year. They were like right at the same spot last year, back in first round. I said, I'm taking Tatum. And I know people it was like half and half. But I was like, yo, Booker, I don't think he's going to finish. Like you're paying what you think he's going to finish at. I don't see that at all. Chris Paul, he's playing with Chris Paul maybe. Yeah, but he clearly didn't finish. Now, he started getting hot towards the end, but he didn't finish. I don't even think inside the top 20, right? But that's neither here nor there. I would still take Booker before people get scared. I would still take Booker over Kyrie. Now, Kyrie, let me backtrack a little bit. So maybe mid-third round. Maybe not the beginning third round, but mid-third round. So if you throw a play. So here's an interesting one. I guess we could just play the quick Kyrie game, and this is still the clutch shot, LT. I'm just going to name 2 players. You take Jaylen Brown, or do you take Kyrie Irving?
Jaylen Brown.
Okay. I'm probably
to me, that's not even close.
Yeah, I think I might take Kyrie. It's close to me, but that's fine. You said it's not close to you. All right, one more guy. Kyrie or man, my computer's frozen. So I guess let me see your screen. Do you have any guards up? Oh, here's one: Kyrie Irving or your boy Kyle Lowry. What would you rather take?
All right, that's better. That's better. I would probably take Kyrie in that situation.
Okay. Yeah, I would take Kyrie.
Yeah, I would protect her. And only because Kyle's probably going to miss a bunch of games too. So it's one of those things where you might as well go with the higher output. Just to add too, if you do pick up Kyrie, please pick up Patty Mills. Just pick him up, get him. Please don't mess around with that pickup, okay? Pick up Patty Mills if you get Kyrie. That way you at least get somebody that's going to be producing on that level for the Nets if Kyrie decides to just skate town. And you can shift them, you can put them in, put them back, whatever. But man, please do that. If I even touch Kyrie or sniff him, I might pick up. It's gonna look weird, but I'm probably pick Mills up in like the 6th round or something silly like that, man. Just to make sure, because people will snipe in this league. People will snipe you. They'll see you picked up Kyrie and pick up Patty Mills immediately. So it's gonna be real risky. But yeah, just keep a mind out. I would definitely go after Mills if you can.
All right, I'm gonna name 3 quick players. All right, for Kyrie. This turned into the Kyrie clutch.
Okay, perfect. I like that name, Kyrie clutch.
Yeah, we probably should do that more often. Kyrie or no.
You was about to say Drew Holiday?
Yeah, Drew Holiday.
Yeah, Drew Holiday. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you stopped yourself.
Kyrie Irving or CJ McCollum?
CJ McCollum.
Kyrie Irving or Terry Rozier?
Terry Rozier.
Really?
I can't believe I'm saying that. Yeah, Terry Rozier.
I can't believe you saying it either. Kyrie Irving or Lonzo Ball?
Kyrie Irving.
Okay, I guess that's where the buck stops there. Okay.
Kyrie Irving. And you know what's funny? Lonzo's probably gonna have a decent year on that offense. That's a big what if, right? For all my Marvel fans out there, that's a big what if. But I don't know. I would take Kyrie. I don't know. Lonzo's weird to me. He's gonna have weird stats on that team. He's gonna have some weird stat lines, and I'd rather just go with Kyrie.
So that's all we have today. You guys can find me on my Twitter handle. It's @Starks_industry. You can also find me on Instagram. It's Fishers of Men 21. On Instagram, I share more of this pretty much just the faith. But if you're asking for like fantasy, sports questions, you can reach out to me on Twitter and ask me anything, and I'll get you at a prompt time. I'll pass you the ball. LT, where can they find you at, man?
Thank you, Starks. You can find me on Twitter at SageNetwork_. If you have any questions about fantasy, anything like that. I also do Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I also live stream going over different games, Apex Legends, all of that fun stuff. So you want to lock into that for real, join in. But other than that, Starks, that's all I got, man.
All right. So you guys, we thank you so much for tuning in. Again, season's about to start. We'll project maybe 2 episodes a week. LT will be on 1, and then I'll probably go solo on a day in a week. And if he wants to jump on, that's perfect too. So just think of the episodes probably maybe twice a week. That's the attempt to try. But yeah, that's it. And then I know people are probably like, you're gonna write the waiver wire articles. I don't know. We're just really busy. We're pretty much focused on the YouTube and podcast at this time. But hopefully I could try to do that again. It just got to warrant the time. But with that being said, you guys, we thank you so much for tuning in. With that being said, have a good evening, morning, afternoon, and take a ride.